I had to go to the lawyers, to John Eisenberg, our senior counsel for the National Security Council, to basically say, you tell Eisenberg, Ambassador Bolton told me, that I am not part of this whatever drug deal that Mulvaney and Sondland are cooking up.
Did you go speak to the lawyers?
I certainly did.
The president implicitly threatened you in that call record. And now the president in real time is attacking you. What effect do you think that has on other witnesses' willingness to come forward and expose wrongdoing?
Well, it's very intimidating.
Dad, my sitting here today in the U.S. Capitol talking to our elected officials is proof that you made the right decision 40 years ago to leave the Soviet Union and come here to the United States of America in search of a better life for our family. Do not worry, I'll be fine for telling the truth. This is America. This is the country I've served and defended, that all of my brothers have served, and here, right matters.
Hi again, everyone. It's 5 o'clock in the East. You're in for a treat. That right there is what valor looks like. That is the best of America. Those are some of the brave men and women of the Trump administration testifying against the then President of the United States, Donald Trump, in the first impeachment trial, because the truth and democracy matter to them. Consider their bravery as Donald Trump's allies in Congress continue today to dodge, obfuscate, and lie about their interactions with Donald Trump, this time around the events of January 6th. As Democrats in the House gear up for a subpoena fight against elected officials who could shed light on the events of that day. Remember the example of Fiona Hill, Maria Yovanovitch, and our next guest, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, who put all their careers and all their reputations and all their livelihoods on the line to tell the truth about the corruption they witnessed on and in the weeks and months leading up to the now infamous July 25th, 2019 phone call between Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky, the flashpoint that led to the ex-president's first impeachment. In a brand new book titled Here, Right Matters, after that powerful moment in his testimony we just heard, Vindman sheds new light on the choice he knew he was making as an active duty service member and an official in Donald Trump's White House. Here he is on the moment he knew that what he heard on that call was outright corruption. He writes this, quote, I do remember looking around the conference room when the meeting broke up, knowing that others, including my boss, had heard what I'd heard. In that moment, I realized something right away. Nobody else was going to say anything about it. If I didn't report up the chain of command what I knew, no one might ever find out what the president was up to with Ukraine in the 2020 U.S. election. I knew what I had to do. I'd known from the moment I heard the president say what he said. Regardless of any impact on the president, the domestic and foreign policy consequences or personal costs, I had no choice but to report what I'd heard. Vindman, whose family fled the Soviet Union for Brooklyn, New York, when he was just a child, was optimistic that in a free society, justice would prevail. But his ideals were soon confronted by the force of a corrosive and toxic right wing in America in the era of Donald Trump. Vindman writes this, quote, today in our life as a family, there's before impeachment and after impeachment. When we turned on Fox News, Laura Ingram's guests were John Yoo, the former Justice Department official in the George W. Bush administration, and Alan Dershowitz, the celebrity lawyer. They accused me of being a traitor to the United States. Now we knew we were in a before and after moment. Hearing me called a traitor on a TV show viewed by millions set our family into after impeachment. Here was yet another new terrain. Vindman goes on to describe fears for his family's safety, even as he faced retaliation from within the White House in the wake of his public testimony. He writes this, quote, to protect my family now receiving threats at the House and to get the administration to stop harassing me, I considered moving us out of our home and onto base for security purposes. Our greatest effort as a family, however, was to refuse to allow the maelstrom of crude political attacks on me shake us up. I'm grateful that Ellie, my daughter, was only 8 during this period. Now it's different. She's older and more attuned and sensitive to our situation. She asks whether people like Daddy or Donald Trump. The choice between the truth and Trump, bravely made by Alexander Vindman and his colleagues who testified in Trump's first impeachment is where we start this hour. Joining us is retired Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, former Director for European Affairs for the U.S. National Security Council, author of the book we've been reading from, Here, Right Matters, An American Story. I have to first tell you that we have covered you and your story and your experience and the smears against you very closely here, and it's a privilege to get to talk to you. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm very much looking forward to having this conversation, and I appreciate your coverage in the past and shining a light on the plight of not just myself, but the other public servants that were under attack during this moment in time. A year on, I guess I'm doing okay. I'm still not quite sure I figured out what I want to do with my life moving forward. I am working on some productive things, including a doctorate in international affairs and working for non-governmental organizations advocating for democracy and democratic renewal. But this is not where I plan to be, and I'm still trying to figure things out, but we're okay. Thank you for asking.
Well, I was going to start somewhere else with the part of your story and the intersection with impeachment, but I just want to follow up. I mean, if you hadn't ended up working in a White House and reporting up the chain of command to a commander-in-chief like Donald Trump, what would you be doing? And I ask that because so many people who we've come to know, whether it's Jim Comey or Andrew McCabe or Bill Taylor or Marie Yovanovitch, so many incredible public servants with expertise in their areas are now doing something else. And I wonder if you think you hadn't collided with Donald Trump, what you'd be doing.
Well, that's a very interesting question. I would say I would be doing a different form of what I'm attempting to do today, which is continue to be a public servant just out of uniform. What I would be doing right now is I would have finished war college. I would be in a high-value assignment someplace in the world advancing U.S. national security interests. That's where I envisioned myself being before the White House and even before these events unfolded. That may have been taken away from me, but I was offered another opportunity in the way that I now have a voice to advocate with a megaphone of sorts for the things that are important to me. That's national security, that's support to public servants, and that's also values-based leadership and holding people accountable. And that's where I'm applying my efforts today.
Do you think the need to protect our democracy here at home in America is an unexpected need for your expertise as opposed to strengthening young democracies in other countries?
That's an excellent assessment. I never thought I'd be looking at the United States in the same way I looked at backsliding democracies somewhere else. I'm not arguing that the U.S. is backsliding. There has been some slippage. Under the last 4 years, there's been an enormous erosion of the good order of governance and the operations of departments and agencies. But I spent most of my time, most of my career looking externally and how to help those countries. Now I have to try to reshape my mind to help the United States harden democracy for the next time it's challenged, for the next time there's an authoritarian light leadership, because Donald Trump was not an effective authoritarian. He didn't have what it takes. He didn't have the capabilities to do that. But he did as much damage as he possibly could, and he continues to do that damage. And I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent this country turning into a place where right doesn't matter.
What do you think so threatened Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani about the principles and the patriotism as exhibited by Ambassador Yovanovitch and Fiona Hill and yourself? Why couldn't that coexist with his plans?
Because, frankly, he's a corrupt individual, and personal loyalties and loyalty to him personally are paramount. And having a system that works properly, people accountable to their oaths under the Constitution, is a risk and a threat. And I'm very proud that you started the segment by highlighting my colleagues, Masha Yovanovitch and Fiona Hill, because in a way I think that was a silver lining that a lot of America got a chance to see. Excellent public servants. I'm privileged to be sometimes counted amongst that group, doing their duties, standing up to defending democracies, and in a way inspiring younger generations to continue to serve, to continue to undertake the passion that I found in public service.
What was your, I know you've testified to this in the impeachment, and I know you write about it, but I wonder if you can just share for all of us, because we've spent so much time really trying to understand at a granular level what everyone else did. We know what you did, and we know why you felt safe doing it, because you thought the right thing would ultimately be the best way to protect the country from this corrupt call, this corrupt effort to extort one of our allies, hold military aid over him. But what did everybody else do? And how did you feel about that?
Nicole, I don't know if I have a very satisfying answer. I've asked myself how far I was willing to go to defend this country, and I was willing to sacrifice my career and put my family in danger to protect this nation. And I just don't understand other folks that swore an oath to this nation not living up to their obligations. The stakes are too high in government to allow the corruption of fundamental institutions. And I don't know why folks chose to. I mean, I can guess. There's an element of careerism. There's an element of self-enrichment. There's an element of self-aggrandizing. Those are probably some of the pitfalls that befell some of my colleagues. But I could attest to why I did what I did, which was because it was the right thing to do. And I tried to do the best I can to do it in the right way. But I had no doubt it was the right thing to do.